Hi everyone, today I'm joined by Liam Entenmann, a two-time NCAA champion and current goalie for the New York Atlas. Thank you for joining us, Liam.
Thanks for having me on.
You had an incredible career at Notre Dame and, now you play professionally. Can you tell me a little bit about your journey and, what you're up to in the future?
Yeah, so I just wrapped up my career at Notre Dame, had 5 incredible seasons. Thanks to kind of wrapped up the exact way that you wanted to with the national championship. But yeah, it was an incredible experience. Really couldn't have asked it to go any better, both, individually and more importantly, how our team did down the stretch. And then I got fortunate enough to get picked up by the New York Atlas in the PLL and play with them this past summer. Had a tough ending to our season. We lost in a 7-minute running time overtime, so that was pretty exciting, but tough way to go out, but it was a great game to be a part of. And then I just recently moved down to Houston, Texas, coaching opportunity with one of my teammates from the Atlas that kind of coordinated that, and now kind of on the job hunt to kind of supplement my lacrosse playing and coaching, and so that's where I'm at right now.
Awesome. As a goalie, you're constantly facing these high-pressure situations. Do you have a pregame routine or anything that helps you manage that?
Yes, so I have a routine. It's pretty elaborate. I get my gear on usually in the exact same order. If I don't like how I put the gear on, I take it all off and do it again, which I know is psychotic, but that's just kind of how I go about it.
Not at all.
Before the actual games, I do the same hip mobility because I think that a lot of playing goalie is kind of in the legs and the hips and making sure that that's all loose. So I do hip mobility and I do juggling, hand-eye coordination before every single practice, every single game that I do. There's some physical component to that as far as getting the body loose, getting the body ready to go, mobile. And also with the hand-eye coordination, that's a very physical thing. But I also think there's certainly some mental translations over where it kind of helps me flip that switch, get locked in, and allows me to try to do my thing at the best ability.
Oh yeah, definitely. So do you think having like a predetermined routine helps you perform better?
Yes, absolutely. I think that you need to have some form of predetermined ritual, routine, whatever word you want to use, habit that will help you get into that flow state, lock in mentally, lock in physically. And I've certainly found that in a position where obviously you need to have very high levels of focus, I've definitely found it to be beneficial to have some form of routine beforehand. And I definitely feel a little bit off if I don't get to do that routine.
Yeah, certainly. I guess speaking of routine, balancing the life of a student athlete at Notre Dame is no easy task. I mean, you have practices, you have high rigorous academic situations. Can you tell me a little bit about how you kind of organize your life there and how you manage your time so well?
Yeah, my team had this app called ARMS. I checked it pretty much every morning to make sure I was ready to kind of have my day kind of budgeted out for me already. But nonetheless, I checked it every day, made sure there was nothing I was missing. And I definitely found that when I did have things that I did every single day, kind of made me more productive, got me in a better state mentally for the rest of the day. Just little things that I've found, making your bed every morning. Kind of just you wake up, first thing you do, make your bed before you do anything else, before you check your phone. And that right there, first victory of the day. And then you hydrate, second victory of the day. Get to class on time, third victory of the day. So before your first bell even rings for your first class, you kind of have these 3 victories. Oh, eating a meal, that's very important too. So there's 4 victories, right? So I think that it translates over to sports too. It's not always about did you win or did you lose. There's so many different things that go into that game, that win or that loss. And I think that in your personal life too, there's certainly a lot of translations to that.
Definitely. That's great advice. And I think that breaking a goal down into smaller constituents really helps you to visualize and achieve success a lot easier. So at Notre Dame, there are a ton of resources available to you academically, through sports. Did you utilize any of those?
Yes, when there was a class I was struggling in, I always used a tutor, especially when I was starting off my freshman year. Especially, I definitely had a bit of a tough adjustment to college. I'll admit, going from high school where it was just kind of pure memorization to college where it was a lot more thinking outside the box, and I didn't necessarily have the best transition to that. So I used a tutor my freshman year, and then there's kind of variety of other resources, academic advisors. A lot of my support system was just within my own team, just asking guys for advice. One of my buddies was the go-to scheduler for classes throughout my team, scheduling guys' classes, making sure they were staying on top of the requirements they had to hit, and I used him. It was honestly a lot more of just pure help than needing to go to the institutional part, and I think that just honestly attests to how tight-knit my team was, and I think probably kind of lends itself to how we were able to, what we were able to accomplish on the field.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you guys did some amazing things that, Notre Dame's never seen before. So clearly you guys were doing something right. I think there's a large stigma with younger athletes especially that, getting help will somehow like make you weaker. Do you want to speak to that at all, or?
Yeah, I actually would love to. I've had plenty of times in my life where, looking back at it, I probably should have gone and talked to somebody, whether it be in my personal life, my athletic life. I was, placed in a lot of high pressure situations. A lot of weight was on my shoulders, very high expectations. And I think that, if you need to go talk to somebody about it, that's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. And that's obviously on the mental side. And certainly in the academic side of things, if you need to go seek help, if you're struggling, that's fine. I think that if you kind of just self-isolate, then that's the worst thing you can do, right? You're not going to get better by doom scrolling through Instagram. You're not going to get better by doom scrolling through TikTok. And by no means am I a finished product. Like, I've probably had my fair share of scrolling through Instagram and completely losing track of time. But kind of obviously those temptations exist. And I think that doing your part to minimize them. So for my example, deleting the app. If I really want to doom scroll, I have to go onto my laptop, log on to Instagram and scroll down using my mouse, right? So that's, if you need help, if you need to talk to somebody, by all means do it. There's nothing wrong with that. I've done it plenty, and I wish I had done it more.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for that. I also have utilized resources, mental health stuff, my entire life growing up. And, if it's making you perform better and you feel happier, there's no issue with it,
The majority of the time, the people that are judging you or criticizing you for seeking help, they're probably dealing with stuff deep down that they don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of times the people throwing stones are the ones throwing them from a glass house. If there's someone that's saying, hey, you're a loser, you're a coward for going and seeking help, they're probably not doing too great themselves, and they're just doing a better job hiding it than you are.
Definitely.
That's what I'd say to that.
Couldn't agree more. Very well said. I also loved your take on kind of just removing distractions, especially social media. When I was swimming at Notre Dame, so much of it was like, I'd be like trying to go to bed and I'd get distracted by Instagram, then I'd lose sleep, and then the next day I wouldn't perform as well. So I think that, kind of maturing and realizing that it's more of like a tool for business or to communicate with people rather than comparison is very important.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that, to say that like I'm going to delete my entire account and never be on social media ever, that could make you isolated even more, because the reality, whether we like it or not, it is a part of our world. It is part of our life, especially people our age and people younger than us. I think that here's one great piece of advice I could give, and I'll tell you what is a real eye-opener. If you have an iPhone, at the end of your day, go look at your screen time. It is eye-opening.
It's scary.
I was probably on for an hour or two. It was 8 hours, and 2 of it was Instagram. Like, what am I doing for 2 hours on Instagram? I could be doing something better. And I would highly recommend, if people are like saying, where is my day going? Go look at your screen time. That'll probably be your answer and probably give you an idea of, how to change your day and your habit going forward.
Yeah, totally. Same thing when I would check it. I'd have 6 hours, 3 on Instagram. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I'm just watching my life go by.
Insane.
Like, I gotta go live. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for that take, and I think it's very mature of you. Kind of the last question I have for you is, if I was a high school lacrosse player or athlete, what advice would you give me about coming in and playing collegiate sports?
Find what works for you, right? Going back to the Instagram thing, these people that live in these bubbles, they're like, I wake up at 4 a.m. every day and I do a half marathon and then I eat 4 pounds of ground beef. Like, well, if you're a college or high school / college lacrosse player and you have practice at 9 a.m, you probably shouldn't be doing that, right? So I think everyone's in a different situation. I think just developing your own routine, your own habits. And I think there are some kind of ground rules for that. Try to stay off your phone in the morning. It's hard. It doesn't have to be like the first 2 hours. That's impossible. Like, don't immediately roll over and check with Instagram what happened on Instagram over while you were sleeping. Get up, make your bed, eat a healthy breakfast, get to class on time, take a good shower. I think that stacking up little victories in whatever that looks like for you. Like, so for example, I know you were a swimmer, you had morning practice. Like, well, I can't be saying to myself, oh, well, Tanner's waking up at 5 a.m, so I have to do that because my day ends later than yours did, right? So it's all just about forming good habits within your own life and not like comparing yourself to other people. The majority of things that we do every day are habits. If you start to build those habits and make them so routine, as long as they're good habits, obviously, that it's so routine that you do it every day without thinking about it, that's where you really start to see improvement. And by no means am I speaking from a pedestal, but I've been trying to kind of put myself in the right direction in order to find good habits and find good routines. So that's what I would say to everyone kind of going through a similar transition of going from high school to college, new environment, new situation, new schedule. Just make good habits.
That's really the best advice you can give, in my opinion. I think building habits in high school that you can rely on later will certainly come in handy. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. It was great having you on, and have a great rest of your day.
For sure. Thanks so much, guys. Have a good one.